What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Mike and Ant podcast. I am one of your hosts, Ant, and I'm also with my co-host, Mike. What's good?
Shit, man. Let's dive into this Hall of Fame, man.
All right, so the class of 2026 was announced. We've been talking about it since the first stages of voting, all the way down to the finalists. They keep saying that the NFL could put in 8 players at a time. For some reason, this year they only decided to put in 5, leaving 3 spots open, which makes the whole Bill Belichick thing even more head scratching. But Mike, I'll just tell you who got in, and then you can give us your opinions. But the people that got in is Drew Brees, Roger Craig, Larry Fitzgerald, Luke Kuechly, and Adam Vinatieri.
Well,
What's
I'll
your
put it
thoughts
like
on
this.
the class of 2026?
I got nothing to say about Breeze, Vinatieri, Keekly, Roger Craig. I mean, at this point, it's like a charity award. I mean, when you got to get on your last year, doesn't not saying that he needed a charity award because he should have been in years ago, but that's where we're at. As far as Fitzgerald, I can only assume he got in for having one of the top wide receiver playoff runs. And even though they didn't win the Super Bowl that year, I believe they lost to the Steelers, but he did have one of the arguably maybe outside of Rice, I think might not beat the record, but one of the best wide receiver playoff runs. Outside of that, he didn't have I don't believe he had a better career than Reggie Wayne or Torrey Holt. So if he was gonna put one of them in, I think it should have been one of the other guys that also been waiting longer. I don't think he has, and we're gonna go over this. So I'm actually we're gonna pull up his best 11 years versus them other two guys' best 11 years. We also know them other guys won rings. He didn't. So I don't know why the rings doesn't matter for that one. But we're gonna compare their best 11 years between the three, and I'm pretty sure he's gonna end up in third out of those three wide receivers. So I guess he got him for being the best ball boy ever, or being the most likable, wide receiver ever. I don't know because numbers don't say that he deserves to get in over those two guys. So I have a big problem there, especially with 3 spots being left. I mean, I also have a problem with Vinatieri getting in without Belichick getting in because without Belichick, Vinatieri isn't a Hall of Famer. Like he's not saying that he wouldn't have been great somewhere else, but he's tied to a dynasty that Bill Belichick built. So it doesn't make sense to me that you put the kicker in, but not the coach. Are you telling me right now that kickers are more important than head coaches? Well, how come they ain't paid like that? Do you know any kicker in the NFL that's paid more than their head coach?
But not only that, he also got in over his teammate Vince Wilfork.
Right. Well, I guess that could be up for debate and thing there, but I just don't see
But I'm
how.
just saying, like, I'm just saying, though, Vince Wilfork as a defensive tackle, his stats are better than a kicker's stats as far as Hall of Fame is concerned.
Oh, no,
You
I
want to go back?
agree, but yeah, but I'm just saying that I don't think you could put either one of those guys in without putting Bill Belichick in. I'm just
Yeah.
stick to coach versus kicker. I don't know. Is the kicker more
And
important than your head coach?
especially, and then to hold and then I know some people I've seen on TV. Some people want to hold in like Spygate and Deflategate and all that stuff, but it's like you can't use that as an excuse. You can't hold that against Belichick, but then you have Ty Law and Richard Seymour who benefited from Spygate and won those Super Bowls. They're in the Hall of Fame already, so why not the coach?
Well, the thing too is this, right? The proof will tell you that even when they got rid of Vinatieri, they brought in Goskowski and still won Super Bowls. So I don't see how, and no, don't get me wrong, Vinatieri did go to Indianapolis, I believe, and got one there too. So he
Yeah,
did win as well.
he has 4 rings, 3 with the Pats, 1 with the
One
Bills.
with Peyton. But it's so I get that, but I don't think he's more valuable than the coach. I mean, especially not Belichick. I might have gave you the Indianapolis coach. All right. I'm saying you went there, they won. Maybe
That's another
had
thing
a
too. Tony Dungy's in the Hall of Fame.
yeah, but I mean, this the thing. Bottom line is if Vinatieri wasn't in this Hall of Fame, maybe you would have been able to sneak out the back door, but that's like a spit in the face. You putting the kicker in and not putting in the head coach.
I just brought up Dungy because like Dungy's a Hall of Famer, but Belichick is not, and Belichick was whooping Dungy's ass every year.
ran him out the team, I think. But as far as I don't really have too many complaints about this list other than the wide receiver part and that they left three people off when they're already backed up. Think that you should be trying to add more than eight, not less than eight. So if the limit is eight, you should at least be putting in eight, not five, not three, or whatever the hell you think is going on, because it's just gonna keep making. I mean, eventually they're gonna have to rip up the script and change it, or they're gonna have first ballot guys wait until they're dead, which don't make sense. But I don't have too many problems with the guys that got in. Like I said, I'm not gonna say anything bad about Keekly or Breeze, or even dive at Craig. Craig was a big part of Super Bowl teams. Kind of was doing the Marshall Falk stuff, before Falk for me. So he's probably warranted at the Hall of Fame. I just don't see why it took this long and why it got to take from other people now when he probably should have been in within the first 7, 8 years of retiring.
Yeah, see, for me, I agree with you. I'm not going to speak bad of the guys who actually got in. I think for the most part, they all deserve it. The old Roger Craig, I didn't watch him play. He retired in '92, so I was just a toddler back then. So I wasn't old
Yeah,
enough to actually watch him play. Excuse me. But like you said, he was Marshall Falk before Marshall Falk, and I remember as a kid watching Marshall Falk, like people used to say he was, that generation's Roger Craig. So if Marshall Falk's in, it only makes sense to put in the OG of that playing style in as well. So
especially
for
with the
Wyatt,
juniors,
he's already
Tomlinson's
in.
in.
Yeah.
Tomlinson and Falk.
So like it doesn't make sense that it took him this long to get in. But he finally got in. It does suck though for Ken Anderson and LC Greenwood. 'Cause I believe this was also their last year of eligibility as well, but they didn't get in. So I guess it's just never going to be Hall of Famers. But LC Greenwood, we talked about it last week. He's passed on. So at this point, um, I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve to get in, but he's not even alive to even enjoy it. So, but for Ken Anderson, I feel bad for him because he now knows he'll just never get in, he's never going to get in. Um, but my issue is not so much the people that got in, it's the fact that if your max is 8, why only put in 5? Like I could understand the Belichick thing if they voted in 8 players like they're supposed to.
Yeah,
The fact they only voted in 5 is like you could still put 3 more guys in there. So why not put Belichick? Why not put
yeah,
Holt or even the wide receivers? Forget about the wide receivers, but Terrell Suggs to me deserves to be a Hall of Fame. You could put him in. Um,
yeah.
Vince Wilfork, like we were talking about, you could have put him in. There's a lot of guys you could have put in,
Dan
and
Woodson.
Darren Woodson, same thing. You could have got him out of the way. He's been waiting since I don't know what year he retired, but he's been waiting for a long time as well. So yeah, like
Yeah,
all these guys that have been waiting, like you could have put them in too. You have 3 more spots to fill. I don't understand why you're just leaving it at 5
yeah,
when you
I
can put
agree.
in 8.
And if they didn't vote for people and you know that the people they voted for aren't getting in, there should be a new paper handed out for you to vote for the people that's left. Like it shouldn't be under 8. 5 is just a fail. You're already leaving guys off. And like I said about Fitz, it's not that I don't think he's a Hall of Famer. I think you could definitely make the argument for him to be first ballot, but not over Holt and Wayne that keep missing. And that's the problem. You put in all three, no one complains. The fact that he's over guys, it's like you're forgetting how good they are because he had a good playoff run.
Okay, so here's the thing about Larry Fitzgerald. So his best 10 years, he had 846 catches for 11,367 yards and 86 touchdowns. So that was his best over a 10-year stretch.
Yeah,
But his towards the end of his career when he was playing with Carson Palmer, he
yeah,
is the first player over 30 to have 3 straight years of over 100 catches. He had 109 catches in 2015,
yeah,
107 catches in 2016, and 109 catches again in 2017. And he did all three over the age of 30. So
yeah.
I mean, if you want to give him that as far as him being a Hall of Famer, I
And that
guess so. Since he played well into his 30s.
and that's like, and this is the thing that's cool, and that's what I said. His longevity is where his numbers hit inflation, and it was all towards the end of his career. But where was you at when these guys was rookies putting up 11, 12, 1,300 yards? Second year putting up 12, 1,300 yards. Third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. 9 years in, now Fitz is hot. It's like you wasn't
You,
that guy for the beginning of your career, not the middle of your
you,
career. Not you wasn't
you
even
think,
the one when Kurt first came there. You still wasn't the one.
yeah, that was Anquan Boldin.
Yeah. So why isn't he getting knocked for being a two for actually most of his career when these other guys were twos for maybe a year or two?
Now, I was going to ask you, do you think the voters have sympathy for him because he did play with a lot of mediocre quarterbacks in Arizona, and his best years is when he had Kurt Warner and Carson Palmer?
It's cool, but we're gonna act like Torrey Holt didn't play with Gus Farrat and Mark Boga for probably 70% of his career. He was with Mark Boga. He only played
Yeah,
with
'cause,
Warner for a short period
yeah,
of time.
he
So
only
when
played
he's
with
putting
Warner
up,
for 3 years before they got rid
yeah,
of him.
yep. So he put up about 50 touchdowns. I mean, just 10,000 yards with Mark Boga. But we gonna act like he played with quarterbacks because he's part of the greatest show, right? And if you want to break down totality, he played with good quarterbacks longer than Torrey Holt did, and still don't got Torrey Holt numbers, and don't got a ring. So if you want to use Peyton against Reggie Wayne, Torrey Holt didn't play with good quarterbacks. That's a facade. Played with a good quarterback for a quick stint, his first 3 years of his career.
Yeah, and we talked about it before, but I'll say it again. I feel like when it comes to Toy Holt and Reggie Wayne, they're holding. I feel like they're holding Isaac Bruce and Marvin Harrison against them because Isaac Bruce is in and Marvin Harrison is in, but yet Torrey Holt and Reggie Wayne, even though you look at their numbers, their Hall of Fame numbers, but it's like they can't get in. And I wonder is because do these voters look at it like, oh, it was all because of Isaac Bruce, or all because of Marvin Harrison, and not giving these guys their flowers?
I'm gonna drop two small gems. First thing I already said, Larry Fitzgerald, from a career standpoint, played the number two played the number two wide receiver longer than Torrey Holt and Reggie Wayne. He was a two for most of his career. We're gonna add in another thing. In the inflation of his career, when he was catching 100 catches and going for, ridiculous numbers, let's not forget they moved him to he was playing out the slot. Like they literally adjusted what he was doing. He
Yeah,
was
because
playing
all
against
those
linebackers and safeties.
I was about to say because all those
Torrey,
numbers that he put up in his 30s, like you said, they moved him to the slot because at
yeah,
that time he had slowed down, so he couldn't run
yeah.
past nobody. You just put him in the
So
slot.
so he played a two majority of his career, and then he went to the slot, which is technically a three, and they gave him mismatches with Torrey Holt and Reggie Wayne for 90% of their career. Played the one. There, you can't use a two against them because Larry Fitzgerald is really a universal number two wide receiver. Doesn't mean that he couldn't have been a one. He played the two. These other
And see,
guys did maybe for their rookie year, second year, maybe. By the third year, they had long passed a number two wide receiver.
yeah, because like Anquan Bolden is not even in the Hall of Fame. So maybe for I don't know, I'm just trying to play devil's advocate here because I'm trying to make sense of it, even though I
Yeah.
agree with you for what you're saying. But like I just feel like maybe because Isaac Bruce is in and Marvin Harrison's in, so maybe they're just holding it against Holton Wayne. I don't know.
No, no,
And you
you're
talk about
100% right. They are. They are. It just don't make sense.
and then another one too. I mean, Steve Smith didn't get in, and it's like he's been waiting a long time as well. And so you're just making him wait as well. He put up a lot of for a guy who's only 5'8". I mean,
Mhm.
he put up some good numbers.
Yep. I mean, bro, I mean, Realistically, though, this special team is in. I don't care if you ran back 10 kick returns to the house. That's not better than a Reggie Wayne career. It didn't win more games than Reggie
And
Wayne's
Devin
career.
Hester come back.
It
Devin Hester was
doesn't.
the first a few years ago.
It's Brian Mitchell, Devin Hester. Believe there's a bunch of special teamers in there. There's guys in there for making a lot of tackles on kickoffs, bro. Like, stop it. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, like I said, it's not a knock Larry Fitzgerald thing. It's that he's not a number one wide receiver. His stats can say that, but he just didn't play the one. And the voters are using Isaac Bruce against Torrey Holt when he took Isaac Bruce's job in 1 year. Doesn't mean Bruce wasn't still good, but Holt went to that X halfway through his rookie year. He was already playing the X. As far as Reggie Wayne, I don't know even how long I could call him a two. I don't know if he was ever a two from the minute he stepped on the field. So
Probably a one. He's like T Higgins. Like T Higgins, they look at T Higgins as a two, but on any other team, he's easily a one. I think
yeah,
Reggie Wayne, if he played for any other team outside the Colts, he would have been a number one.
yeah, and that's why I don't like these arguments. And then, like I said, if you want to use Peyton against Reggie Wayne, cool, but you can't use you know Marshall Falk and Kurt Warner against Torrey Holt when they didn't play with him long enough to do that. It's like they have like this blip where he played with them, and then he has a 8 9 year amazing career with nobody on that team. So I don't understand it.
Me neither.
I'll end it with this before we get to the honors. And you could say anything you want to say. Obviously, I think they need to rip up their whole format. I think they need to think about adding more voters and stop being like weird and hiding the voters. I mean, it should be a simple thing. You got a list of names, click, check yes or no beside it. If enough people vote, they're in. It shouldn't come down to 8 people. There shouldn't be a limit. If there's 30 people on the panel and 27 of them unanimously or get enough yeses, they should all be in. Free up,
Well,
clear out the room.
to me too, like if your maximum is eight, then put 8 people in. Don't do this bullshit where you're only gonna put five and leave 3 spots open.
Yeah, but I think they need to open the box. I think 8 is
Yeah,
not enough.
I agree with you. They need to open the box, but at the same time, like don't just put 5 people in. Like
Yeah, when
if
you
the maximum is eight, put in eight. Don't leave people out and leave three
especially when you
spots
know
open.
especially when you know 8 isn't enough. That's the problem.
Yeah.
8 already isn't enough. You can't go to 5. But if you want to pull up the honors, bang, we there.
Well, before I put up the honors, next year's Hall of Fame is going to get even more trickier because next year you have Adrian Peterson. He's eligible.
He'll get in.
Robert Kransky is eligible.
He'll get in.
Ben Roethlisberger is eligible. Antonio Brown is eligible, but he's not going to get in.
He's
Richard
not
Sherman
getting.
is eligible, and Cam Newton's also eligible.
I
And I don't
Cam
think
ain't.
Eli's not in, and Cam Newton's not going to get in.
Yeah, but I think outside of Antonio Brown and I mean, to be fair, at least Belichick should go in with Gronk. So I'm pretty sure that that majority of those guys are going.
I think, well, for the ones that are eligible next year, I think Adrian Peterson's probably going to be a lot. Gronk is
Yeah.
going to be a lot. I think Cam Newton,
No.
Ben Roethlisberger, and Richard Sherman will be questionable as
I
far as
think that
first ballot.
I think that Sherm gets in. Um, Probably should win. Probably why Suggs got in, but I think Sherm gets in because he's part of the Legion of Boom, and he's looked at probably one of the most vital pieces to that Super Bowl run, and they went to another one. So I do believe he'll get in. I
Cam,
think Ben
Cam,
has a good chance too.
well, okay, I think Cam Chancellor and Earl Thomas they were nominated this year, and they didn't get in first ballot. And to me, I thought Cam Chancellor was more important to that defense than Sherm was.
I think
But
we know he was, but Sherm's the name. Sherm's
yeah,
the
I was about
name.
to say Sherm's also more popular too.
Yep,
So yeah, I
he's the
think.
name.
And then for Ben Roethlisberger, um, I don't know. I think it's questionable because his numbers are similar to Eli. So if Eli didn't get in first ballot, I don't know if Roethlisberger gets in first ballot.
I think Ben Roethlisberger has more respect for Eli when it comes to just a whole career. Eli obviously has the two wild
But Roethlisberger has
playoff
two.
runs. Yeah, but I know they both have the Super Bowls, but I think Ben's the more consistent quarterback outside of, the two runs. If you got rid of the two, and you just looked at the beginning to end regular season, Ben was probably one of the top 10 guys his whole career for most of it to like the back end. I don't think Eli Manning was ever even top 10 in the NFL. Not at any era.
And you agree with me, Cam? I don't think he's gonna get in, but he's eligible.
Yeah, Cam's gonna be waiting for a very, very long time.
Yeah, I agree. Because I mean, I thought he was a great player, but I mean, honestly, it was really just that 1 year.
But it's short career, no rings. I know he got the MVP, and he probably 20 years from now might get in. I don't think he's gonna
He
get any
he
close.
played 12 years now. It wasn't that short.
I mean, as far as him at the top is,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It was because
like I mean,
towards the
he
end
had
there,
he had
the
3
injuries,
years that don't even count. They just sucked. He has a couple of years that is like injured, injury plague. He has a
especially
couple
the
bad
last,
years.
especially his last 3 years, where he was just bouncing around from team to team.
That's those years. So I'm looking at it like as far as a good career, might give you like 5 years, maybe.
Yeah,
You might be lucky. Might not even be five,
yeah.
but
Let's move on to the NFL honors. So I'll give you the winners. MVP Matthew Stafford. We're not surprised by that, as both of us thought Matthew Stafford should have won MVP, but it was the closest MVP vote ever. Matthew Stafford got 24 votes. Drake London, I mean, not Drake London, Drake May got 23 votes to finish in second place. But your thoughts on Matthew Stafford becoming MVP? It's also to the 14th year in a row that a quarterback has been named NFL MVP. The last non-quarterback to win MVP was Adrian Peterson back in 2012. So every year since it's been a quarterback. The last 14 years has been a quarterback award.
yeah, pretty much.
But your thoughts on Stafford winning MVP and also announcing that he's coming back next year?
I mean, he had my vote. It's good to hear that he said he was coming back quick, so we don't got to drag this into the off season or whatever's going on. So that was good to see. But I think he deserved it. I don't know what the guy was doing that voted for Justin Herbert. I don't even know what the two people was doing that voted for Josh Allen. I think that they all should have been voting for May or Stafford. Would have made it more interesting. But I think the right guy won.
I agree with you. I think the right guy won. Um, Again, to play devil's advocate, I will say I think maybe the reason why Josh Allen got 2 votes and Justin Herbert got 1 vote is that even though they probably didn't deserve to win MVP, but they put up MVP numbers despite. I mean, Josh Allen, we talked about it every week. Like, who's his number one? He really has
Yeah,
nobody to throw to. Yet. He's putting up numbers, and then Justin Herbert, his whole offensive line was hurt all year, and he still had a decent year.
yeah,
So I mean, that's just to play devil's advocate and maybe why those guys got votes. But I agree with you though. Like those 3 votes could have easily went to either Stafford or May.
yeah. I mean, either way, I think it's a close MVP vote. I think one vote a pop makes sense because I think it was that close of a race.
Well, yeah, because I mean, if instead of voting for Herbert, maybe one of those votes went to May. You're looking at. I don't know if they just do co MVPs or how would they split the tie or just give it to both of them.
Oh yeah, but yeah, they could have right down the middle and split. It would have been actually pretty funny to see that happen.
'Cause I know they did it. I can't remember which year, but I remember when I was a kid. I think Barry Sanders and Brett Favre had a co MVP 1 year.
Yeah, I think there was one year when that happened. What was you the most surprised of out of these awards?
Um, I'll say offensive rookie of the year.
What do you
Because
with?
I was always surprised because the favorites to win the award was either Jackson Dart or Tyler Shuck because they always want to give all the credit to the quarterback. So I'm
Yeah,
glad that the voters know voted for McMillan. I feel like he was deserving of the award. So I'm glad they
yeah,
gave it to him and not give it to a quarterback. Not saying that Jackson Dart didn't deserve it, but he didn't even play a full season. So and
yeah,
then when he did play, he also missed like 3 games with a concussion. So it's hard for me to give it to a guy that only played like 10 games.
yeah. I think they got most of these awards right. The only ones I'm not sure of. Who won the Coach of the Year?
Mike Vrabel, he beat out Liam Cohen.
See, I would have voted for Kyle Shanahan personally for Coach of the Year. That I think
Me
they
too
got
because
wrong.
of all the injuries that they had to deal with.
Yeah, yeah. And then who won comeback player?
Christian McCaffrey, he beat out Aiden Hutchinson.
I don't know. I probably would have went with Hutchinson. I think there's probably even someone else you could have went there, but Hutchinson, they broke his leg in half. So I don't understand how what
Well, I
Christian
mean,
McCaffrey.
Christian McCaffrey only played in 4 games last year. He got hurt early in the season towards PCL. So, I mean, to me,
Yeah.
it's one of those you could have went with either way. But
Well, put it
I
like
have no
this.
option with Christian McCaffrey.
I just like this. He tore his PCL and he's been, pretty much injury prone up and down his whole career. The other
Yeah,
guy hit his shin on someone's leg and snapped his leg in half. I mean, how he's even back on the field
and
would have
still, and
gave.
the
I
impressive
mean,
part
would have
about
got
that,
my vote.
the impressive part about that is not only did he break his leg in half, he still made the sack with his leg,
Yeah, I know.
in the air.
This is what I'm trying to tell you. Like, I don't know if I maybe I'm just looking at the injuries from an injury perspective. One of them is like a severe life altering injury. You know what I'm saying? That he came back from in a short period of time and looked, came back pretty much looked like himself. Christian McCaffrey just had another injury prone season and came back to what we know Christian McCaffrey is. He's done this his whole career. If by these standards, he should have won the comeback player of the year 6 times already.
Yeah. And then offensive player of the year is Jackson Smith Najigba. He beat out Christian McCaffrey to win the award, but he's deserving. Miles Garrett, he won defensive player of the year. It wasn't even close. I
Well,
don't even think he was. I don't even know who's in second place, but it wasn't close.
didn't even
Uh,
matter.
yeah, he had set an NFL record, and then his teammate Carson Swishinger, he won defensive rookie of the year. So the Browns, they got. I mean, we know they have a top 5 defense, but
Yeah,
you have 2 players, 2 defensive players. You have the defensive player of the year and the defensive rookie of the year. If you
yeah.
can just get an offense in Cleveland, this team can compete.
Well,
They like I feel like the 2 Ohio teams, they have 2 things that don't match. Cleveland has a great defense, no offense. Cincinnati, they have a great offense, no defense. And they need to just put those 2 teams together and they'll win the Super Bowl next year.
they brought in some of that Rams juice over there, so they're gonna see what they can do. And they got a running back. I think they got a top tight end. If they can get, I mean, they need more wide receiver, but if they could get anything from the quarterback, whoever they decide to go with, they might be alright over there.
But they got to figure out is it going to be Deshaun Watson or Shador Sanders, or are they looking at drafting somebody next year?
My guess is I don't know. I'm gonna take a guess that they brought in the young kid from the Rams to be their head coach. I think he's the only one that was willing to take the job, right?
No, they hired Todd Monken.
Who, who else is over there then?
So Todd Monken he was the Ravens OC. He went with Harbaugh to the Giants, but he only had the job for like a week, and the Browns hired him to be the head coach.
Well, listen, we're gonna see what they end up doing. I know I believe they took somebody
But
from the Rams. I thought it was the young kid they took from there, unless he backed out of
it
it.
was yeah, he a lot of them backed out of a lot. Like they tried to hire Mike
Or he
McDaniel, he
backed out.
didn't want the job.
Pretty
A
sure
lot of
they
people,
announced it on Twitter that he was
yeah,
going there.
a lot of people. Well, no, so they were gonna hire him, but he turned down the job because they told him that he had to keep Jim Haslett as not Jim Haslett, but what's his name?
That makes
Defensive
sense.
coordinator. Yeah, they told me he had to keep the defensive coordinator, and he said, like, "I don't want it him," like, Jim Schwartz, that's his name. They told me he had
Why
to
would you
keep
want
Jim
to
Schwartz
bring
as
their
defensive
defensive
coordinator.
coordinator?
Yeah, but he was like, I don't wanna keep Jim Schwartz, like, I wanna hire my own people, like, don't force me to keep
Probably,
this guy if I don't want him."
probably want to snag Shula.
Yeah, and then, like and then they hired this guy, from the Giants. He was like, "Yeah, I'll keep Schwartz," but then Schwartz, he's like, "No, I didn't wanna be the DC, I wanna be the head coach." So he quit. So
Yo, bro,
they missed
bro.
out on the guy they wanted, trying to force him to keep this guy as DC, and he's like, "I don't even wanna be the DC, I thought I was gonna be the head coach." He just quit.
Yeah. Hold my beer. It's the Browns, bro. They're at work. Can't even. I didn't even know who their coach was. I see 4 announcements.
Yeah,
only,
'cause
only, in, only in
I
Cleveland,
heard
bro.
they
Only
hired
in Cleveland.
Mike McDaniel's like, "Nah, I'm good, I'm just gonna be an OC for the Chargers. I'm gonna take a less
Yo,
job."
yo, first said at least I get to work with Herbert. He said
Yeah,
I'm not going there, bro. But I don't know. Other than the coach, I really ain't. I don't have too many complaints about these honors. I think most of them are deserving. I think Puka should have been probably the runner up in offensive player of the year. I think he had an argument to even win it, but I would have leaned towards JSM, but I wouldn't have put McCaffrey over Puka. Like I don't know. I feel like McCaffrey's just getting trying to be force fed awards at this point. It's like I'm not agreeing with anything that he got going on. I don't think he deserved the comeback player. I would have went with Hutchinson, but as far as MVP, agree with defensive player, both rookies of the year. Get the defensive, you could have went a different direction, but I'm not going to debate those. I think they're good picks. Um, don't like
and
the
then,
coach.
Bobby Wagner won, man of the year.
Yeah, that's a good pick. I also think he'll be a first ballot guy when he decides to retire. So
Yeah, I
I
mean,
think
he's,
him and
10 years
Shermer
in.
probably. Yeah, him and Sherm are probably the two guys that get the first ballot nod from that defense because it's like while Holt's paying, I feel like Cam Chancellor and Earl Thomas are gonna wait because they're gonna push Sherman, Wagner, and them guys in. Wagner probably retire in like 2 years from now and still get in before Chancellor and Thomas. So we'll see how
You
that
think they
goes.
just took the whole, like, Legion of Boom, at the same time?
Mm-mm, mm-mm. I think Sherm gets in next year. I don't think the other guys do. I think that Cam Chancellor and Earl Thomas will be waiting for a while. Due to the simple fact that Darren Woodson's still waiting, Cam Chancellor probably gonna be waiting for a little bit.
Oh, yeah, and, from going back to Myles Garrett, Micah Parsons is the one that finished in 2nd place, for defensive player of the year. Like I said, it wasn't even close, like, Myles Garrett
Mhm.
won it running away,
Yeah,
but
he
Micah did
broke
finish in 2nd.
he broke the sack record. I don't think that was no debate there. I think had the Browns been good, you might even been able to give him the MVP, the type of season he had. But
Yeah.
that would never happen.
Well, I'll ask you this, though, if Micah didn't tear his ACL, do you think the vote would be closer?
No,
Because before he tore his ACL, the Packers were the number 1 seed. After he tore his ACL, they lost 5 games in a row.
that's fine. He doesn't play hot. He doesn't play as hard as Garrett. And
Yeah.
Garrett was breaking the sack that you wasn't. So I don't. Maybe it would have been a smidgen closer, but not much. But other than that, I'm tapped out on the awards. I don't really have much. The Hall of Fame, I had a lot of talk about it. This I don't really got no complaints. I think they got most of this right.
Yeah, I agree. I think most of it got right. My only complaint is, I agree with you. I think Kyle Shanahan should have won Coach of the Year,
Yeah.
only because of all the injuries that the Niners had for them to be where they were, with the chance to have home field advantage going into the last game of the season, home field advantage and win the division. They came that close with all the injuries. I feel like this was not Mike Shannon, Kyle Shanahan's best coaching job ever. No disrespect to Mike Vrabel or, Liam Cohen, but I just thought Mike Shanahan should have got the award. Instead, he didn't even finish in second. Liam Cohen finished in second. But that's my only
Mhm.
beef is that, was that. I think everything else they got it right. I know you feel some type of way about Christian McCaffrey winning, comeback player of the year, but, to me, it's just kind of whatever on both of those guys.
Yeah, it's not really a complaint. I think just Aiden Hutchinson had a more severe injury and probably plays a tougher position. So I probably would have just leaned that way. Um, McCaffrey seems like he got all the credit Shanahan deserved to get. It's like he's on everything. Shanahan didn't get nothing. I think another thing that was is a untalked about thing, and I'll end it with this. We could head up out there. You obviously can end anything you got to say after. He also dealt with that Ayuk situation without even blinking. Like just those situations rip up teams. So he had to deal with that, what he was doing, the noise in the background, the injuries, um, basically no number one wide receiver. You know, people was falling. There was crazy stories out online talk about people are getting injured because they're too close to a plant. It's like, come on, bro. He was dealing with a lot. I think that he deserved it. Other than that, the other ones is more joking, but I think Shanahan did deserve that award.
And he resurrected Mac Jones' career. Like, I think we talked about it off air, but there's reports that teams are talking to the Niners to see like
Yeah.
what would it take for them to trade for Mac Jones. And you wouldn't have said that a year ago. So
Oh,
I mean, they might get some draft picks now for Mike Jones. I mean, Mac Jones. So
yeah,
I agree with you on that. And the Brandon Ayuk situation, that's the weirdest thing I've ever heard. Like, for
yeah,
he cost himself 25 million. All he had to do was show up to rehab for his knee, and he didn't show up. And then he
yeah.
ghosted the coach and the GM. Like, nobody's even talked to him or heard from him. They're just like, well, we're gonna cut him.
He's got his trajectory as Antonio Brown.
At least Antonio Brown like went to rehab for his torn ACL. Like,
I'm
if
not
is
talking
Brandon
about.
Ayuk not like is Brandon
Let me
Ayuk
let
like
me
not playing with
clarify.
the team?
Let me clarify. We ain't talking about on the field stuff. We talk about
Oh yeah,
off the
off the
field.
field.
He's probably got one leg out the door already. He'll never be Antonio Brown on the field, but he got one leg out the door as far as off the field.
Yeah, but I just don't understand. Like, you tore your ACL. Like, why not go to rehab and get your knee better? Like, is he not trying to
No, he
like,
did. He did. No, no, he got the rehab. They wanted him to rehab in their facility, and he wouldn't do it. He wanted to go through his own people. So I guess maybe he's not as crazy as you think. Maybe he just trusts his peoples more. But then speeding by the stadium and all that's a little bit
well,
ridiculous.
yeah, but okay, even still, if he wants to use his own people, he could have communicated that with his coach instead of ghosting him. You don't just ghost your coach and don't return phone calls
Yeah.
or text messages.
Well, he's mild. He's mild. I mean, so it's something wrong upstairs. Well, I mean, we'll see how it goes. But with that being said, let them know where to find us, bro. Let's run up out there and get some sleep.
All right,
I need some
yeah,
W.
get some sleep, and my laptop about to die on me. But you can find us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, and Amazon Music. And make sure you
Don't forget to like us.
like and subscribe us on YouTube and under Mike and Ant Sports Podcast.
Absolutely. Don't forget to use the QR code, put in Mob Squad 508, get 10% off your purchases. But with that being said, let's go get some sleep, my
Yeah,
brother.
let's go and get ready for the Super Bowl tomorrow.
Yep. Fuck both them teams. Out